Hi, I'm David, and this is a video about Vergence, the tabletop role-playing game of dimensional conflict and family drama. I'm going to be showing you how to create a character in Vergence. If you are interested in the game, you can find it online at itch.io at this address. Creating a Vergence character is pretty simple, but each of the choices you make can be a bit consequential, so we'll run through those. There are just a few steps. First, you will choose a bloodline and a playbook. You'll choose your contacts. You'll assign 4 action dots. You'll choose 3 special abilities. You'll record your name, look, and mark. And finally, you'll choose bonds with the other player characters. Before we move on, let me just show you character sheets. This is the printed character sheet that comes along with the game. You can print a different one for each playbook. Alternately, if you prefer to use online character sheets, you can access these on Google Sheets and copy them into your own account and use them. I'm not going through in detail where everything goes. It's pretty obvious, I think. So step 1 will be to choose your bloodline and your playbook. In Vergence, there are 4 bloodlines your character can be from. The first is that you are from the caverns of Agros, so this is one of the 3 Vergences that you can be from. The caverns are an underground steampunk world with clockwork servitors and pneumatic trains and a central orb like a small sun that illuminates the entire place, which is why its symbol is a sun. The next Vergence bloodline you can be from is the Maelstrom. The Maelstrom is an infinite sky. If you fall forever. But it has storms and skyships and air citadels and flying leviathans and whole sky ecosystems. The third Vergence your character can be from is the Serpent. The serpent is a gigantic creature, a giant serpent that slithers through the dimensions of the Umbra slowly from place to place. And there are millions of people who live on and within the body of the serpent. Finally, you can play a character who is lost, so someone who does not have a connection to one of these Vergences, someone who grew up in the infinite dimensions of the Umbra, who is presumed to have parentage from one of the Vergences, but is unconnected, unaware of their heritage, and so they had to figure out how to use their power on their own. Each of these bloodlines has 3 playbooks that you can choose. Let's run through them. From Agros, the first is the Adept. This is a mage character. You're exploring mysteries, wielding mystic powers. The Explorer is a pathfinder, traveler, and negotiator. Agros has a vast trading empire extending out among infinite worlds across the Umbra, and explorers go out and connect with new worlds and create trading relationships, etc. Finally, you can be an heir. There is a royal family of Agros and a set of noble families. If you are an heir, then you are directly in line to inherit one of those great noble families. If you choose, you could be even the heir to the throne of Agros. And you are a master of court intrigue and know how to use your connections to advance your agenda. The Maelstrom has the aeronaut. This is an adventurer, captain of a skyship and a rogue. A stormcaster is connected to the eye of the Maelstrom. You have learned to manipulate wind, storm, and air, and have a variety of powers associated with that. Finally, you could be a storm knight. You are a formidable combatant, but you also have a variety of mystical powers related also to the storms and air. If you are from the Serpent, you could be a beast rider, and in this case you can tame and work with beasts from the Serpent and across the Umbra. You could be a shaman who connects with the spirits that lie within the blood of the serpent and find ways to use your powers beyond rational understanding. Finally, in the serpent, you could be a shapeshifter. You employ powers of change, changing your own body, and deception, fooling people about who exactly you are. If you are of the lost, you could be a conqueror. That means that you are a warrior, leader, and strategist. You have traveled the Umbra. Perhaps you have even conquered an empire of tens or hundreds of worlds. You could be an oracle. That means that you understand the joke that reality plays upon us all. You play with that reality. You may have followers who, attempt to learn from you, and you take advantage of them. So that's the oracle. And then finally, you could be a trickster. That means you are slippery, unpredictable, clever. You're a con artist. You are always having schemes within schemes. These are the 12 playbooks that you have available as a character in Vergence. Once you've chosen a bloodline and a playbook, you can choose contexts. In Vergence, our characters are very closely aligned with the world and the people of this world. This is a political game. So your contacts are notable people with whom you have a significant history. They may be nobles empowered nobles of the Vergences, or they may be other people from throughout the Umbra. You will have 6 contacts that your character is closely aligned with. Contacts are chosen by you, so there are lists of contacts, and there are 4 contact lists. There's the Agorian bloodline contacts. So these are empowered individuals from Agoros. There are millions of people who live in Agoros, but only a couple of hundred who are of the blood, like you are, and have the ability to travel the Umbra and use the power. There are also Maelstrom bloodline contacts, Serpent bloodline contacts, and other contacts who are not people with Vergence bloodline power, but have other abilities or other connections within Vergences or in other places in the Umbra. A contact list looks like this. This is the Agorian bloodline contact list. It provides you with names of people and their role, whether they lead their own faction or not, and if so, which faction that might be or which faction they might be aligned with. Some notes about who they are or what they want, and a few indicators of their personality. So if we were to choose the first one, Calliope, who is a young noble, this person is not a leader, might be aligned with any faction, arranged between you and the GM. This person wants to explore her new powers and is impetuous, friendly, and curious. And that's as much as we know about Calliope. You, in collaboration with the GM, can flesh that out during play. Some of these characters are aligned with specific factions, and you could look at the back of the book to read a little bit about that faction. Or if you want to, you can just pick cool characters from this list. There are no bad choices. So whatever looks interesting is perfectly fine. So if you're a character from one of the bloodlines, Agoros, Maelstrom, and Serpent, directly from a Vergence bloodline, that means you're aligned with this culture of this particular Vergence. You are going to choose either 3 or 4 from the bloodline contact list of your Vergence. You'll choose 2 or 3 from the other lists, so that you have 6 total contacts. You'll choose 1 character from your own Vergence bloodline as your bloodline empowered parent from whom you inherited your power. And you will choose 1 character from the other contacts list as your non-bloodline parent. Bloodline characters really can't produce children with each other, so you have to have 1 bloodline, 1 non-bloodline parent. If you're from the Lost, your background and relationships are a little different. You're going to pick 6 contacts. Up to 2 of these could be from bloodline contacts tables of any Vergence. The others are from the other contacts table. And from your 6 contacts, you're going to choose 1 to be your non-bloodline parent. You don't have a relationship with your other parent at game start and potentially could never find out who that person is. Then you'll establish some relationships from among these contacts. One of them will be your friend who will have a very positive relationship with you. One of them will be a rival who does not like you. You've had negative relationships with them in the past. This person can act as a foil for the GM to use. And then if you want, you can decide other relationships. A contact could be your aunt, your uncle, your sibling, your half-sibling, a child, a spouse, etc. And then if it turns out that you share 1 or 2 parents with another player character, then you are half or full siblings. You'd want to check with other players about that to make sure that that's a comfortable relationship, but you might decide that you want to have those kinds of sibling relationships among some of the player characters. And then if you are from the same Vergence as another character, but you don't share parents, then you're cousins. All of these characters within Vergence bloodlines are at least distantly related to each other. So here's what a contact list for a player character might look like. There's a down arrow for a rival, an up arrow for a friend, an indicator of whether this is a bloodline character, an indicator of whether this is a parent, whether this person has been chosen to be a sibling. So this is a character from the Maelstrom. Their father is both their rival, their bloodline and their bloodline parent. They have a friend who is their aunt, Jael, captain of the Sky Traders. They also have a half-brother, Ketch, whose mother is this person's non-bloodline parent. Then you'll assign 4 action dots. So there are 9 actions that represent how you approach problems within the game. Each has a rating from 0 to 3. On your playbook, there are 3 dots already assigned that you don't have any choice about, but you get 4 more to assign to any actions that you wish. The more dots, obviously, the better you are at solving problems using that approach, although your character is generally very competent and good at things. Then you'll choose 3 special abilities. Special abilities are skills, tricks, allies, artifacts, or other advantages that set you apart. Many of them involve use of the power and cosmic manipulation of the Umbra. You start with 1 default special ability that's already marked on your playbook. This is a default ability that gives you the ability to use your power and travel among different dimensions. Then you choose 3 more from your playbook. So your playbook will have a list of abilities that looks something like this. You can see that the top one is already selected. You would be able to select 3 others, and they give you all sorts of cool things that you can do. You can choose the abilities from those listed on your playbook. If you want, at game start, one of them can be from another playbook of the same bloodline. You can never take abilities from other bloodlines, but you can take them from within your own bloodline, and as you advance, you'll be able to get more. Next, you will record name, look, and mark. So the different Vergences may have typical naming schemes, and there are some sample name lists that you could pick from. You could also choose any name you list on the list or from someplace else. You don't have to follow the typical naming scheme of your Vergence. You could have grown up someplace else. Your look is just what people notice about you, your hair, your build, your demeanor, your dress, your posture, etc. So you'll pick a few words that describe what people most immediately notice about you. You may also have a mark. So if you're from Agoros, the Maelstrom, or the Serpent, that's your bloodline, then you went through a trial in which you attuned to the power center of that Vergence. In the process, your body was actually destroyed and remade, and you are a different person, and it has changed you, and you will have a mark from that. It might be very noticeable, it might not be noticeable, but you'll have a mark somewhere. If you're a lost character, you have not undergone that trial and you do not have a mark. Finally, you will choose bonds. Bonds are, a bond is a short statement about your relationship or history with another player character. So they are role-playing prompts. So this first one that you could pick from is when I was young, I was fostered for a year in this other player character's household. We were often rivals, but grew to respect each other. And bonds help explain why your character is working with these other people. You know, you have a character who has infinite cosmic power, can go anywhere you want, any dimension you can imagine. So why are you working with these other people? Why are you trusting them? Well, you have these relationships, and bonds help explain why you are choosing to do that. There are some sample bonds associated with each playbook, but you can also make up your own bonds, change them over the course of the game. These help kind of create the relationships that you have with other player characters. But let's talk about the minimum that you need to establish for a character. Let's say that you're not sure, you're having some analysis paralysis about all of these choices, or maybe you're playing a very quick pickup game of Vergence and you don't have that much time to think about what kind of character you want to have. There are lots of choices you can make during play. So what is a minimum viable character? What's the least you have to decide before you begin? Well, you need to choose your bloodline and your playbook. You need to record your name and look, and that's it. Everything else can be decided during play. So while you're playing your character, you can decide where as you take actions, you can decide where to put your action dots. As you look at, as you do things during the game, you can decide that to reveal that you have this special ability. You can set up your contacts during the game. Everything else can be decided during play. So, and you can take a partial approach to this. Maybe you just only have 4 contacts you want to pick right now, but set up everything else. All of these things are perfectly okay, so you don't have to feel that need to have a fully fleshed out character in game terms at the start of the game. You can discover your character during play. So that's creating a character in Vergence. If you're interested in the game and you don't have it, you can again find it at itch.io at smallcoolgames.itch.io/Vergence.